the more talented, the better team out of the two. And we're going to go to Sky Temple once again. A good map, a good battleground for both teams, it seems, Tetra.
Yeah, both teams with very positive win rates, 4-1 and 3-1. So both teams significantly high up in terms of standing. It will be lowered for one of these teams, of course, because there is no other choice. However, this is the legendary map. We're going to... It's unlikely because it's not in the meta at this point, really. But this is the map that the legendary Hugo Illidan performance came into play.
That is a very good point. And while Illidan isn't really as popular as he used to be last year when we had the prime of several Chinese teams relying on Illidan consistently, teams like RPG and TheOne most prominently, we can still expect Hugo, in particular, the legendary melee assassin player from TheOne, to wreak a lot of havoc in the enemy team's backline for Team Soa. So Hugo, I think, is a player that they will really have to shut down. But even if he doesn't play the Illidan, he has a couple of other heroes to fall back on. His Sonya is very scary. His Leoric, so underrated, but whenever he played on that hero, he was soaking it up like a young god.
So we see Hanzo, speaking of young gods, the Hanzo player coming in here once again for Soa. Performed very well, that was Sorry playing it last time. Gets to reprise his role here. Whereas TheOne, starting off pretty normally here, HGC and Malfurion. So far, nothing out of the ordinary. A little bit of global in the form of that HGC. A stage dive is very popular these days.
And the question remains, Tetra, how fresh is Soa still after a quite extensive and exciting series against Beyond the Game? Could they use this short break to recuperate and rejuvenate themselves, or are they still a little fatigued? And how well was TheOne able to scout out potential weaknesses of their opponents?
We see Falstad and Tyrael make it in. TheOne, like you said, likely to be a little bit fresher. So are they going to be riding high off adrenaline, or are they going to be starting to crash, considering that they're used to playing 2 best-of-2s a day with a couple hours gap in between them? So we shall see how prepared, how strong they are still feeling. TheOne, though, they have the next ban here. Uther would be very solid. Divine Shield would prevent any kind of burst combo they wanted to land onto Hanzo or even onto the Falstad.
Very true. Uther is always, you know, that enabler or that protector. Depending on what you fear more on the enemy team, you want to sometimes pick him yourself or ban him away. In this case, with the support already being locked in and double support being very unlikely, it is best to ban him out so he can protect heroes like Hanzo. As you said, the cleanse is very scary. The Divine Shield can also be paired off with an aggressive playstyle. So I don't really hate it. I don't really have anything against it.
One do remove that Uther, though. Well, like I said, it's a safe choice. It's very much like the ETC stuff we were talking about yesterday, where if you're ever in doubt, Uther's probably fine if your enemies don't have a support and you already do. It's the Divine Shield. It's always that wow factor. And here is a hero that would have worked very well with Uther, but still works very well with Malfurion as well. If you root someone down, then Greymane's going to get crazy value off the Executioner at level 16, so a solid ban there.
Alright, so what are we going to see here from TheOne? Up to this point, they basically copied what the previous teams, Beyond the Game and Soa, liked to pick. But with every new team entering this playoff stage, there could be a fresh wind blowing in the drafting as well, especially with heroes like Hugo, or players like Hugo. You see him there in the webcam on the bottom half of your screen. We could maybe see new challengers appear, and one of those heroes, or some of those heroes, could be Illidan. It could also be a Sonya, which we would like to see a little more often here. But Soa basically showed us how unpredictable they can be, Tetra, in that last game we casted. Not only pulling in a Zarya, but also swapping roles completely.
That's true, which was unexpected but effective. TY was able to play a really solid Malfurion, and Uncle G, as we said, bringing out a solid Zarya. So we see Leoric, that is likely going to be the Hugo pick. We've seen him destroy on this hero. He's been a huge part of the majority of their wins, and they bring out the Cassia. Very effective against Falstad, pretty effective against Hanzo if you can get to him.
Yeah, and already the first Cassia of this playday here in the playoffs, day number 2. And although Cassia has some flaws, which is most importantly her short range, you can work around it if you go for the Q poke build, which at the moment is still a valid option. And also she has this unexpected engage potential sometimes. We've seen a lot of Valkyrie plays both in HGC China and the European Open Division yesterday.
Yeah, and in Europe and America and even Korea, the Cassia has leapt up in popularity, which is cool to see. She's a fun hero. And the Valkyrie has come with her because of that ability to catch someone in the backline. It's like a hook, but you can't body block it because it's going straight to the backline.
Very true. The only thing you could do potentially is let one of your warriors jump in behind, because it's always the last hero in its range that gets the drag in. And once again, Tetra, here goes the Arthas and Lucio.
Here does go the Arthas and the first Lucio, like you said, we've seen in the day. And I just realized that apparently the best counter to the sort of pseudo hook that Cassia has would be Stitches, considering he is a tank and he's a tank that can live in the backline. And a Tracer coming in here as the final pick for the one. That is interesting.
So we're going to see the infamous Malfurion Tracer duo, which is so synergetic and so good next to each other. And then we're going to see a fairly beefy tank line consisting of ETC and Leoric. I really think there is a very little weakness in the draft by the one. They have good wave clear thanks to Leoric. They have outstanding blow-up potential thanks to Cassia and Tracer. And they have good supporting. So I think it's all going to come down to how well Soa can keep their aggressive plays in check. And Arthas could be good. Definitely not to be underestimated. But Lucio, he is going to be a crucial key member. Not in terms of just, you know, protecting others with sound barrier, but also in not getting caught by Tracer or Cassia.
Yeah, Lucio is definitely the biggest vulnerability. Even Hanzo, with his incredible squishiness, can leap over a wall, which this map does have a fair amount of. So has that kind of escape potential. So it's super interesting. Right now, I think a lot of it's going to come down to how well Tyrael can protect the Lucio, in fact, even.
Yeah.
How well Falstad can split, so without being ganked by that Tracer style.
Yeah, and as always, when we see Lucio combined with Tyrael in one team, we're going to have to mention that there is misplay capabilities. Sanctification and sound barrier should not overlap, otherwise the duration of the sound barrier would go to waste, and the sanctification would actually prevent anyone from taking any damage. For now though, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for both teams. Soa and the One are fighting for their spot at the Eastern Clash, and we're diving into Sky Temple, introducing the One on the left-hand side in the blues. They're represented by Hugo on that Leoric, Lucky plays Cassia, Meng on that Tracer, Zato on the Malfurion, and Hihi going for ETC.
And on the right-hand side, in the red trunks, fighting from the lower seed, it's gonna be start over again with Faye on Tyrael, Uncle G on Lucio, TY on Falstad, Clog on Arthas, and sorry, he's playing the Hanzo. Fighting for the position at the Eastern Clash, the teams make their way towards the center of the map and that watchtower.
Yeah, and it looks like the One are not even trying to skirmish around it because they realize there's a Hanzo, that means early vision, and an Arthas as well. You don't want to be messing with that guy in narrow choke points near the vision tower, so a relatively peaceful start up to this game, but that is soon going to change.
Yeah, even Lucio and Tyrael moving forward against Hugo, who has not moved down to the bottom lane or the top lane as of yet. It's going to be Falstad in the solo lane, which is not too surprising. He can sustain pretty well, and of course he is very mobile and can join for the objective a little bit quicker, and this early solo laning isn't actually that important. However, there is an attempted trap set up here. Zato reveals himself. He does not. I don't think he actually did show there.
Yeah, I don't think he showed either, so it's all about trying to hide your rotations. It's all about trying to mask potential gangs and early mercenary captures. Speaking of mercenary captures, we're going to see Tracer and Malfurion taking things into their own hands. Best buddies for life, while at the same time Soa is also sending over Hanzo and Arthas to basically have a counterweight in that top lane. Because Knight pushes early on Sky Temple or Dragonshire, for example, are very lethal and very deadly. Even Cassia is now joining the fray.
Yeah, they want to race it down, whereas Arthas is going to be able to tank this up for Hanzo, who has gone for a Scatter Arrow build, but doesn't have that PvE potential with it yet, just getting the maximum damage he can. A reaction to this, Soa tried to do a second camp as well, even though they finished theirs first.
Yeah, that is so huge. The mere presence of Hihi is enough to scare away Soa for now. All of a sudden, Falstad is no longer a griffin, but riding a chicken. But that is a different tale we're going to talk about at better point in time, but still they managed to get the Siege Giant camp. Team the One was a little bit slower simply due to the fact that they don't have as good of a mercenary clear.
And the one, though, they did actually finish their camp pretty reasonable time, but they did delay it. They held it to make sure that theirs would be fighting in a more defensible position nearer to their towers, which is really cool to see, especially seeing as Lucky is going to be alone while defending this until Leoric arrives, due to, once again, Tracer and Meng and Zado staying in that bottom lane, grabbing a Siege Giant camp once again, which will help them counter. TheOne purposefully being slower on the mercenary game to try and give themselves a more defendable position, defense as opposed to aggression in this early stage of the game.
And look at all that value by Tyrael's Justice for All talent at level 1. So many shields, so many powerful shields on those PvE targets, the minions and the mercenaries alike. And that alone is going to be enough to secure themselves 2 towers and the gate already in the top lane. And whoever wins the top lane first is probably going to destroy the enemy's fort as well, as long as they maintain control over that top temple. In the meantime, though, equal justice in the bottom lane, destroying towers left and right with the help of those Siege Giants.
And remember, bot lane is the potential end game condition for those early game teams that want to try and take the risk and push in with the second temple phase. Once that boss is taken, grab that. TY survives, but that means the Siege Giants are now uncontested. The Fountain will certainly drop here, and that is huge for when the bottom temple fight happens, which of course is the boss lane. In the meantime, they're still holding the rest of the map as well. It's a simple temple trade, 1 for 1. Like you said, top 4 will go down, thanks to the Bruiser camp push early, and Zado may fall as well. No, they can't catch up.
Yeah, and TheOne are just skyrocketing ahead right now, not just in terms of structural advantages for the mid-late game. You pointed it out, the second temple is going to be in the bottom lane after all. Meantime, Hugo escapes, and oh, he doesn't escape! Sniped from downtown Tokyo here. Hanzo going with a big scatter arrow land. But yeah, you pointed out, Tetra, a mid-game advantage now already taken in for TheOne, and not just that, but also the experience is just continuing to grow.
As we see Tyrael dropping down, nice little pulse bomb able to finish that off. And Kendrick, do you want to see something cool? I want you to look at Cassia's level 7.
Alright, I love me some Plate of the Whale. No, that's not Plate of the Whale, it's the movement speed.
War Traveler.
That's
4%
cool.
movement speed every 0.5 seconds. Avoidance is active up to 20%. Basically meaning that Cassia has almost mount speed, I think, just by running, which is really, really good against Arthas. I really like this pick.
Yeah, War Traveler is actually an oftentimes overlooked talent simply because the explosion on your trait on the D is just so good. But here, as you perfectly pointed out, there's so many crowd control effects that she needs to keep herself safe from. Also, you can sometimes counter out the movement speed boost by Lucio to effectively change a target more quickly. So really good awareness on the talents there, Tetra. I almost overlooked it myself.
Gotta go fast. Cassia with that speed boost, keeping herself safe. Absolutely loving it here. This is going to allow ETC, actually, the main tank, to potentially go a little bit more global because he doesn't have to worry about his other assassin. Because Tracer, she's Tracer. She's going to be incredibly hard to lock down here. Cassia was always a little bit of a danger. She's tough to kill just due to armor, but she was always the potential of getting caught out by Arthas. Nice little raid by Soa, though, to get a little bit of counter value. And that's actually double camps for them in the bot lane. And remember, those Siege Giant camps go straight onto the fort. So TheOne, they do react to this. Now TheOne, remember, they did kill off the fountain. They didn't kill off the fountain, actually, in the bot lane.
Yeah, that's going to be their main priority right now. Yeah. They really need to get that fountain. They really need to make sure that there's no more healing capabilities for TheOne. But TheOne, they realize that if they lose this fountain, they're going to be in a really bad spot. But here we go. Temple control, a couple of shots, and already no more healing guaranteed. This is going to be a true nail-biter here right now. Both teams are posturing up. Both teams are setting up. Leoric, by the way, a perfect counter to a very slow and immobile Arthas hero. So Klong is going to have to pay attention double time on when he dodges the Drain Hope.
Fountain of Soa is still up due to the push from TheOne being halted a little bit earlier. All heroics are available except for ETC. ETC in this area. The interrupts for his mosh pit are few, but very effective. Sanctification, the Mighty Gust, the knockback by Lucio. The question is, can Soa make that kind of play as they begin to look for the correct angle to engage? Scatter Arrow completes its stacks.
Yeah, simple geometry now successfully completed, which means more projectiles, more PvE damage later on as well. But it looks like Soa is taking this patiently. They let Falstad soak the middle. He's now going to advance towards the top lane as well. And while they lost a little bit of structural value, the experience count is still okay and very much balanced. Malfurion once again going for Tranquility. It seems to be the go-to trend in China right now. Ball Lightning activated for Cassie as well, as ETC is still patiently holding on to this heroic choice.
Fend giving Lucky a nice little dash to get him into this camp as quick as possible. Really enjoy that kind of little trick that players can do. But yeah, I'm enjoying the fact that ETC is holding his heroic here. It's very easy to quick pick a mosh or quick pick a stage dive if he dies, for example. Very similar to holding your heroic or holding your level 20 on Malthael, for example, to see if you need that revive. Now,
they're going to get this. I think they are.
Here with Hanzo. They have so much speed in catching this. Hugo draining onto the back. Both the tanks are here. They can try and hold on the point, but Gust will be available. And as such, he just lets it go. Sneaky boss cap by Soa.
Hanzo, by the way, that's exactly how you take a boss with a stacked up simple geometry and more PvE damage and cooldown reduction thanks to the other scattering error talents. So, how much value can they get from this boss? Probably not that much. It's only going to be a fort if they maybe catch someone like he actually caught by the tornado as well. That could be a disaster for the one.
The root is down, trying to protect he who's pulling back, but here comes the team. Down goes the ETC, and Zano will drop as well. Even drops Tranquility, think he could save himself, but that's now a heroic cooldown, which will be down for 40 seconds even after he's alive. This could be Soa moving in for a keep.
Yeah, this is the boss absolutely proving to be an MVP. The tornado basically prevented Hehe from escaping. He never was expecting this. Nobody really does, because very rarely does the tornado fly all the way past you and chase you down. But that was so huge. So many cooldowns also popped, as you said, Tetra. A 40-second cooldown now on Tranquility. I think basically Malfurion wanted to make sure that the additional armor on ATC provided by Regrowth and Tranquility, it was going to keep Hehe safe and sound, but there were simply too many members of Team Soa finishing the deal. Now, how much value can they get from the boss and the kills? Let's see.
Boss was cleared. Falstad rotated up to the top lane to clear out the Bruiser camp that was putting the pressure on there earlier. Cassia, I haven't seen how many stacks she has on Thunderstroke, but she has still gone for the Thunder God's Vigor, that cooldown reduction on her Lightning Fury at level 13, so still going to be spamming out those javelins to try and drop that counter poke damage. Not going for the slows, which would have potentially allowed her to kite Arthas a little more. Nice Gust, save TY there, but she doesn't need that because she has War Traveler. She already outpaces Arthas.
Exactly, here goes a quick cheeky dismount by Sorry. The Gust keeping Falstad alive, very, very important. And although Soa was riding the wave of momentum here, getting the boss, killing 2 people there as well from the one, it doesn't really look like they're getting too much value out of this. They're only sharing temples, 1-1, and actually the one is stabilizing quite nicely there, aren't they?
They're holding it together. The fact that the boss didn't take bot lane, it was only a couple kills technically, it's still pretty good. And they also just wrecked structures in the early mid game. So as such, the one still holding themselves in this game pretty nicely. It's now just even in terms of forts. The only extra damage coming out here is right now onto this top lane, thanks to Arthas channeling the remainder of this top temple.
And of course, all that damage being inflicted by the top temple now could be abused later on by securing 1 or even 2 night camps. This top lane is now a constant danger zone that somebody is going to have to take care of, most ideally Leoric, because of his great wave clear and the mobility to allow him to get back to a different lane more quickly than most of the other heroes. So, let's see what Soa has prepared. It's an even game right there. Both teams playing this so patiently. Only 4 kills in an HGC China game. Quite out of the ordinary when we're used to being spoiled by 10+.
Yeah, and right now we see them just playing so safely, so defensively. Both teams racing towards level 16, making the maximum use of their globals, as ETC did in the end take stage dive.
Yeah.
Would have been really useful to get him out of that tornado, but he was interrupted continuously by the knockback here, as level 16 is hit for both teams. Well, it will be hit for the one very shortly. Only 17 stacks on Lightning on Thunderstroke there.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of a problem for Cassie. She would love to brawl, she would love to skirmish a little bit more, so she could fill those stacks up a little bit more quickly. But, you know, Soa is not giving her the chance. They're evading each other. They're not fighting to the fullest. Tyrael, by the way, going for an interesting 16 town. Not going for her Rod of Fortune or the Halo for additional AoE damage, but going for Smite the Wicked. Whenever Eldrin's Smite is active for 3 seconds after teleporting, Smite's cooldown recharges 100% faster, and that could actually be very scary for Cassie. If you smite her several times, that's all ability damage, all damage against Tracer as well to maybe regret rash engages.
That is very cool. We will see if he's able to use that effectively, as we do see Siege Giant kept stolen away by TheOne. And these teams doing their absolute best to avoid each other for the moment. Pierce taken by Cassia, by the way. Leoric standard build. Royal Focus, Ominous Wraith, having a lovely time there. As we see the Siege Giant camp will get cleared up quite quickly. But right now, both these teams are just playing safe, waiting for objectives, which, of course, the next one is just about to come up now.
Tetcher, TheOne needs to keep TY in check here. If Falset channels this temple for too long, that's going to be the first keep of the game. In the meantime, ETC is being assaulted and ambushed by multiple SOA members. That also means, though, that the top flank is open. If Hugo and Tracer, perhaps, could ambush TY, who's still channeling, they can prevent the keep from falling.
Can Arthas get there in time? Oh, the two-pronged assault. Falstad continues to channel. The keep will go down, but here comes Hihi. Full team fight. The ball lightning comes in. The point is held. No one can stand on it as Falstad arrives looking for more kills to get even more value for Soa here. As we see the stage dive coming in to try and get the counter as Falstad and Hanzo get deleted. TheOne lose the boss, but get 2 kills, looking for another as the Yorick comes in from the side, but cannot get the slow.
Now, someone, ideally Lucio, because he's so quick and fast, should probably rush top and maybe get just one more temple shot. That's all they needed. And that is exactly why Falset arrived a little too late to the party there, because he wasn't really sure how many shots do I still need. Can I go or can I stay? Yeah, look at the team fighting attention though.
The ball lightning, so much damage. Sanctification on the point. They move out of it. The gust was pretty good, but the stage dive's nice. And in the backline, Tracer is causing havoc. Lucio is not enough to save the members here. Tracer almost died to an Arthas minion there, but it was still enough. And it looks like 1 shot was taken. Top keep did die. The boss died in the bot lane. Leoric was able to do enough damage to that the keep was able to kill it. And as such, TheOne now take control of the map.
Yeah, it's hard to say who got the better end of it. Ultimately, though, of course, the structural language speaks heavily in favor of Team Soa. They were able to take down the top keep, which is a big deal, especially if you consider Mercenary Camp now hitting the core directly. But, as you said, Tetra, that team fight was going very well in terms of TheOne in their favor there as well. And Hugo and Meng in particular on that Tracer, just barely surviving, getting the cheeky kill there in the backline on Falset as well. It could have really gone either way, but as it is, TheOne are still in this game.
They are still in the game, holding it together, looking for their opportunity, waiting for the mercenaries to spawn. This is a game of timers at this point. Yeah. Neither team's actually just looking to fight each other or looking for ganks. Well, Soa right now are. But the game just seems to be all based on the cooldown timers of the mercenaries and the objectives at this point. As Hugo looking for Clog. Stage dive. This is a commitment now as how far Soa are out on the map as he gets everything for his team. Slides into the Dragon Arrow here. They're pushing through though with the Tranquility as the Auric march and the Black King. Decent damage trying to finish off Klong, but the healing from Lucio is too much.
Hugo marching in, not even losing a single point of health there. That's how strong the regeneration of both his March of the Black King and the Tranquility were. Beautifully to see how well they can complement each other in terms of healing, self-healing, and the Malv support. And still untouched in good mana conditions there as well. They're going to try and make something happen in the bottom lane. ETC knows exactly what TY on the Falset is up to though. He's trying to counter push, keep him in check, and also try to soak that level 20, because that is going to be our next big objective. The time window is short for Soa. They need to hold on to the best of their ability, and 2 temples is actually helping them out quite a bit, because even while not being level 20 themselves, they can still try to spread out the members of TheOne and share temples.
Well, Temple is the name of the game for the one here, as ETC can join at any point, and of course they just opened up the fort, the keep in that bottom lane, so if they can take this, that could be their first keep of the game to match what Soa did in the top lane a little bit earlier. As such, the Yorick is the one who starts taking that. The rest of the team begin to group up mid, dropping some counter damage there. Like you said, that split attention. What is the response by Soa? They don't have 20 yet, they are half a level behind, even whilst that split soak was not able to catch them up here. So it looks like they are just going to group as 5, try and rely on the fact that they are fighting without at least 2 heroes. They can see EDC, but he can stage dive in, and they can see that Leoric is taking shots. They will give up a keep just so that they can deny more shots in total and soak themselves to level 20. So they need to be careful as ETC comes in.
I don't think Soa knows that Leoric is still on the bottom. Now they see the Temple shot to return. But still, that 20 is such a big, scary talent gap that they still need to catch up on. It's so close, and Soa eventually is being forced back, albeit in a 4 versus 5 situation in favor of them.
There's level 20. We have the Bosa coming in from Lucio. Falstad yet to pick play of the game for Han, so they all have this potential. Tyrael, not even going with extra damage. He's just going with his own hardened shield. Just any kind of protection. As the One are forced to move up to the top lane to defend against more catapults. Mid keep did survive. Bot keep, we already mentioned it. It did most certainly die. As here come play of the game. They found an isolated Cassia, and she can't gain any avoidance value if she gets taken out by so much CC.
Yeah, as long as Cassia is frozen in place, she won't get any value from the physical damage reduction offered. Great, as Tetris said. And this was exactly what they needed. The CC chain was perfect. The stun was even better by Hanzo and the Dragon's Arrow. And with one person down, catapults pushing in, mercenaries being reinforced here as well very shortly. They are going for the core. Klong is using everything he has.
So kill to TY, good sanctification to give him the chance to escape. They're marching back in. They are going for the core. Gust with the wind tunnel to separate the team. Soa putting it all on the line here, trying to get their first game of the series. In comes the One, just focusing down. They're down so much damage with Cassia missing. With down goes Hanzo. It's still enough damage. TY able to focus down, even with himself going down. The catapults are enough, as is Uncle G and Klong. And game number 1 goes over to Soa.
Ladies and gentlemen, Soa is on a roll.